Hi, it's Kelly here from Spiritual Awakening Signs, and today we have a very special masterclass for you, how to use the winter solstice energy to increase your inner light and purify your soul. This is a once a year event. It only happens once a year, so don't miss this opportunity. I really don't want you to miss it. It's a very important part of our yearly spiritual calendar and a really big opportunity for you to connect with a really high frequency energy that really can make big shifts in your life and in your awakening too. So in this video we're going to cover everything you need to know. We're going to talk about what the winter solstice actually is and how it can increase your inner light exponentially. We're going to talk about why December 21st is such a spiritually significant day and its real enlightenment purpose. We're going to talk about how the winter solstice affects us energetically and the signs that it's already happening to you, because I guarantee that you will recognise the signs that it's already happening to you when I tell you in the video. Common mistakes that cut you off from your solstice transformation. I don't want you to miss it. It's really a very powerful experience. And 4 tips to increase your inner light and purify your soul using the winter solstice energy. It's a very exciting time, and like I said, only happens once a year. So let's get right into the content. Now, despite being the darkest day of the year, the winter solstice is actually the ancient bringer of light and of spiritual transformation. It is a very, very powerful time for us to connect to that energy. Now, it's of huge significance and importance because we're on a spiritual pathway, so it's meaningful to us anyway. But as we move through winter, what tends to happen is that the winter solstice energies start to work their magic. We don't even realise that it's happening. The winter solstice energies start to make us feel, what's the best way to put this? Low. They make us feel low. They bring up low vibrational stuff. They bring up the darkness in us. So we start to maybe feel a bit anxious. We start to feel a bit blue, maybe a bit melancholy, round about the last few months of the year. And it's because the winter solstice energies are actually doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So they are supposed to draw up in us all the darkness that needs to be cleared and released in order for us to move forward on our awakening pathway. So what you'll find is that these negative emotions start to come up. We start to think that there's something wrong and we start trying to avoid it. And we do a really good job of that. We do it with overindulgence, we do it with gift giving, we do it with Christmas lights, we do it with celebrating, whatever it is. We start trying to avoid the negative emotions, but we miss such a huge opportunity for growth, expansion and light, because what it's really doing is showing us exactly what it is that we need to heal and clear in order to raise our frequency, in order to really align with the light of the winter solstice, because it is such a huge light bringer. It is high vibrational, super high frequency light, and we can connect into it if we choose. But if we keep ignoring those emotions, what we're really doing is kind of ignoring the gift that the winter solstice brings us, ignoring the signs of what it's saying. It wants you to be free, it wants you to move past this stuff so that you can really increase your inner light and be more of the light worker that you are. So it's a tough time throughout the last few months of the year, and the more spiritually aligned you are, the more you'll find that it probably affects you, because these winter solstice energies really are very powerful. But what they actually do is bring light through illuminating the darkness. It's a really very powerful thing to be connected with, and it is an opportunity not just for growth, but for life-changing, vibration-shifting enlightenment. It is by clearing out all the dark that we hold within ourselves that we become brightened, that we become aligned with a more expansive, awakened, consciousness-shifting way of thinking. Put it that way. You can count on this day to be seriously spiritually significant for you, and it's almost here, so please don't let it pass you by. Now, when the sun emerges on December 21st, it brings with it quite powerful high vibrational energy. So we're talking the energies of things like hope, prosperity, abundance for the year ahead, cheerfulness, joy, all these wonderful energies, optimism, all the good things that we really need to see us through the rest of the winter. And it really sets a foundation for the energies that we want to see in the year coming up ahead. I don't know about you, but I think we've really had the type of year that we could be doing with the replenishment. I think we could really be using those winter solstice energies right about now. So let's talk a little bit more about exactly what it is. Now, the winter solstice energy, when it starts to work its magic, like I said, it's not subtle. There won't be any question of, I don't know if the winter solstice energy is here. Usually what you'll find is that it shakes all the dark debris from your energy, from your system. It is a clarion call to wake up your energy system, and it's all about really, awakening you from within, helping you to become that enlightened being that you really are. And it illuminates your spirit. It's going to help you to become that brilliantly shining beacon of light, that light worker that you are. And the thing is about the winter solstice energy can be quite pushy. So it pushes you to accept all the endings that have happened. And it's not just about the previous year or the year that you've just been through. It's about your entire lifetime. It's about really looking at yourself as a soul and what you need to let go of. It wants you to release what no longer serves you. It wants you to let go of your past so that you can join it in that 5D energy. The winter solstice is a 5D energy. It's very high vibrational. So every year on the 21st of December, or sometimes the 22nd, we get the opportunity to be purified, to really be cleared, to let go of the past, to be transformed by that super high frequency energy. And it gives us unrestricted access to that 5D experience. Now, that's something you can't really get at any other time so easily throughout the year, without effort, without constant practice, without using some sort of technique to get there. It's available, it's here, use it, okay? Don't miss it. It is a once a year spiritual awakening metamorphosis, and it's here right now. So get ready to begin your next year with hope, joy, optimism, and cheer. So we know what to expect from it, we know what it is, but let's talk about how it affects us energetically and the signs that it's already happening to you. Now, I'm sure that I've already been talking about this and you're thinking, I have actually been feeling a bit off, I have been feeling a bit low, maybe I've been avoiding my feelings a little bit, maybe I've been avoiding not really having anything to do in case I go within a little bit too much emotionally. It's all okay, it's all part of the process. So like I said, the winter solstice is the ancient bringer of light and spiritual transformation. So quite simply, it marks the point of the year where night becomes longer than day. So it is actually a very dark day ultimately, with the actual light that's available to us. And it also marks the beginnings of longer nights because of this darkness, which can be seen as a time of reflection, a time of contemplation. But what it also does is really helps us to acknowledge the darkness within us. It's about moving past so that you can acknowledge the darkness within you without being afraid of it, without pushing it away, without avoiding it. And it's about really reintegrating all those lost parts, because there's all these little lost fragments of energy, of parts of us that we think maybe aren't acceptable, they're not good enough, we don't like this experience, we didn't like that trauma, whatever it is. And we split and splinter our energy, and all those little fragments are out there. This is about recalling that. It's about acceptance. It's about unconditional love for every aspect of who we are. And that is when you get this wholeness, this completeness within. It really is about integration of the soul. That's what brings the light, because you can't possibly shine that light worker light. You can't be that divine beacon of light if there's all these broken parts and missing parts, and parts that you don't love about yourself, parts that you don't accept. It's about really moving forward in a really expansive way, in a really enlightened way. And it's very powerful, very, very powerful. So this is the question. Are you wanting to be happy, or do you want to feel more together, more hopeful, more optimistic? That's what the winter solstice energies can do for you. It's going to actively increase your light frequency, and it's going to make you a higher vibrational force of energy. So you're going to step up. You're going to move into this soul purification to increase your inner light, to shine more brightly than you've ever shone before, or are you going to put a band-aid on it and let it pass you by, another opportunity for another year, and let that spiritual growth pass you by? The problem with that is that all that the winter solstice energies will do is just keep repeating it every year, and you'll have to avoid it every year. It wants you to be pushed forward into your spiritual awakening and to really transcend the darkness that you're carrying, because it's all illusions anyway. Okay, so let's see what else we need to know now. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to bring up is that the winter solstice is actually an enlightening experience all in itself. It's an awakening experience if you know how to tap into it. But most people don't recognise this ability, the ability that it has to drastically raise you to this higher frequency. A lot of people lean towards practices of enlightenment that involve connecting more deeply with light. People like that. Everyone's comfortable with that. Yeah, I'll do that. Connect to light. Yeah, I'll do that. But when it comes to really allowing this energy to draw the darkness out of you, people tend to avoid it. And if you're doing that, you're not really acknowledging or accepting every single part of yourself. You're hiding. So what you really need to do, even though it's tough, is just give yourself that little push, give yourself that compassion and understanding to move past it and to really acknowledge every aspect of yourself so that you can heal and you can really move forward. So let's talk about some of the mistakes that might get in the way that could cut you off from that solstice transformation, because it really is a transformation and I really want this for you. So like I said, it is an epic once-a-year opportunity to purify your soul and increase that inner light quota exponentially. And the 21st of December is not far away. I want you to get the most out of it. But there are some mistakes that you could make that could seriously throw you off balance with that and really stop you from getting those vibration raising benefits that you can tap into at this time of year if you don't know what to watch out for. So let's talk about them. I've got 3 mistakes that you'll want to avoid. So mistake number 1 is avoiding your own darkness. Now, like I said before, the winter solstice brings up a lot of emotions and feelings. This is a good thing. It's actually doing exactly what it's meant to do. It's drawing this stuff to the surface. It is totally natural for us to want to shy away from that heavier content. It's totally natural for us to want to avoid uncomfortable confrontations with truths about ourselves that we'd rather not acknowledge, we'd rather not remember, we'd rather not know. But when you let the fear win, you let the ego win. And that's something we're trying to avoid in spiritual awakening. Worse than that, that's something we want to avoid, but worse than that, you miss the opportunity to clear that darkness out. It's there, it's right in front of you, it's the easiest it's going to be to really clear it from that space once and for all, so that you don't need to continually avoid it, continually hide from it, continually kind of dodge it, so to speak. And that battle with truth is the truth trying to emerge. That's what awakening is about, ultimate truth. So don't be afraid of it. It's all illusions anyway. Just let the truth come up. Take a deep breath, face it head on, and know that it is never ever as bad as the ego whispers and lies that it's going to be. It really isn't. Mistake number 2 is rejecting the self. Now, like I said, the winter solstice brings us into a period of self-reflection. So we start contemplating things quite a lot. And when it does, we might feel the need to be alone a bit more often to be able to deal with that, to be able to review ourselves and our lives and our experiences a bit more deeply than we have done before. And when this happens, a lot of us see those aspects, like I mentioned before, that we don't like, that we don't think we think are unacceptable, and we automatically reject those parts of ourselves. Now, the problem with this is that the darkness in you can actively reject the light. Now, most people find that unusual to consider because they think, of course I want light, of course I want to be connected to the light. But I know from experience that when I'm working with clients, quite often we go to bring in this high vibration and there's resistance in their system, and they're like, but I do want the light. Well, your system's not accepting it, so what's going on there? What might you be afraid of? What might you be resisting? And what it's really about is things that are getting in the way. So you might have low self-esteem. You might not feel good enough about yourself. You might think that you don't deserve it. You might be afraid of it. Or it might just be that it's at such a high frequency that you've never experienced before that you don't know how to accept it. That's okay. We'll talk all about how you can teach your energies to do that just shortly, but it's important to remember that winter solstice energy is ultimately trying to teach you to unconditionally love and accept yourself. Don't judge what comes up. Don't push that part of you away, because those parts need the help more than any other part at any other time. Welcome it with loving arms and a compassionate word. So you want to really hold the intention that you're saying to those aspects of yourself, even though you've got this, whatever it is, even though you're like this, even though this happened to you, I still love and accept you anyway. So that you're really integrating that part of yourself back into your energy to become more whole and healthy. Mistake number 3, getting caught up in the seasonal darkness of the period. So The truth is that nature impresses its energy on us and its yearly cycle, and the energy at times, when it comes to the end of the year, let's be honest, can feel quite bleak and quite hopeless. Now, the yearly ending can sometimes mistakenly be perceived as the end, and when we perceive it that way, we start to feel sad, we start to feel blue, we might start to feel melancholy. But the truth is that it's really just this latter part of the year, an ending of a chapter. It's not the end, it's just an ending in a chapter. Many chapters that will go on for, forever. So you need to remember it's not the end, because that's the mindset that tends to make you feel even more melancholy. Remember that it's an opportunity to start anew. This is a cycle. It doesn't end, it keeps going. It comes back around again. So all things begin to grow again, and you have to remember that. And if you invoke the light of the winter solstice, you will experience this firsthand. It's a beautiful energy. So with that in mind, we don't want you to make any of those mistakes, but we do want to talk about 4 tips to increase your inner light using the winter solstice energy. Now, it's a great time to celebrate the darkness before the sun reappears, because the darkness is what gives us the keys to our ascension. And like I said before, most of us try to resist that, but it's really important that you acknowledge that the winter solstice is the light bringer. It disguises itself, it looks like darkness, it's the light bringer, and it's here to shake you awake and illuminate you from all that heavy stuff. It's really about healing in a light enhancing way. So we need to celebrate the parts of ourselves that we'd rather not acknowledge. We need to allow that purification to be created, purification of the soul, so that we can reach that inner light quota, so that we can really increase that. And the winter solstice date and time frame is the perfect time to do that. It's like spiritual awakening on full power. It really is. So let's talk about the tips that we have for you to align with that energy. Now, top tips. Tip number 1, honour your inner darkness. This is tough for most people. Most people run away from this because they don't want to acknowledge the darkness within themselves. But the problem is that it really makes your awakening stay stuck at a standstill. You can't become enlightened or ascended if there are parts of you that you are unwilling to give compassion to, that you are unwilling to accept, that you are rejecting. You need to heal the most broken parts of yourself. You can't reject them, you can't push them away. You have to really integrate them. Those parts of you need your love. They need your acceptance. They need to know that it's okay to be integrated. It's very, very important. So you need to make a decision. Do you want to be ascended, or do you want to stay stuck and have parts of yourself that you're going to neglect? That's really the only 2 options that you have, and I know what one I want for you. You want to ascend, you want to awaken, you want to move forward. You are a vibrant spark of light. You're a light worker. So you don't want to be trying to be a light worker when your soul is muddied with shadows. It's about letting all that stuff go away, and the winter solstice can help you to do that. It's also worth noting, like I mentioned before, that unresolved darkness can actively make you reject the super high frequency light that the winter solstice brings. It can block it right out like a shield, and it just won't get through, which makes it really, really difficult to clear what comes up. So you're left kind of swimming in this negative emotion, this negative emotional energy with no way to move forward. So we need to teach your soul how to accept those energies, how to align with those energies, so that it can let the dark energies dissipate and clear and fully assimilate the light for that transformative benefit. Don't worry if you don't know how, there's help on the way, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Tip number 2, so important, be aware of your emotions and feelings, because they are your ascension radar. The winter solstice energy begins around the 1st of December and it lasts up until around the last day of the first week of January, usually. There's a kind of time period there, a gateway. So although the 21st of December is when it's most powerful, or possibly the 22nd, you do have that gateway of time to connect with the winter solstice energies and gain huge, huge benefit. Now, the winter solstice, like I said, it'll work its magic. It'll start to stir up emotions. It'll start to make you feel low and blue and anxious and fretful and all these other things. It's doing exactly what it's meant to do. Notice what's coming up. Don't ignore it. Be aware. This is your gift from the solstice. This is your gift. It actively draws that lower dark energy up to the surface so that you can acknowledge exactly what it is that needs to be healed. It's helping you to know what you need to clear in order to beam more light from within, so that you can be a higher frequency light body ultimately. Tip number 3, and this is an important one, practice self-care and self-compassion. So with so much coming up to be cleared, you might be feeling a little bit emotional. You'll also probably feel a little bit tired because it's quite overwhelming when all that stuff comes up. So it's really vital that you are taking care of yourself like a parent would take care of a child. And this is the key. So you want to speak to yourself in soothing tones. You want to tell yourself that everything's going to be okay, because it will. You want to maybe enjoy some cocoa and a gingerbread cookie. You want to watch your favourite childhood Christmas movie, which is The Muppet Christmas Carol for me. I always love it. And that always makes me feel comforted. So it goes a long way in really comforting those parts of you that need the help the most and helping them to feel that everything's okay. And it's going to make you feel more centred and more supported throughout this healing process. Okay, so you need to look after yourself. And tip number 4, of course, you want to invoke the winter solstice energy to bring more light in exactly when you need it. So the winter solstice energy will do its job. It'll naturally bring those things to the surface, all those emotions, all those issues. It'll bring them to the surface to be cleared. Now it's time to enhance that brilliant light that the winter solstice brings. So the light is what banishes the darkness. That's why you need to connect with it more deeply. It illuminates the spirit. It invigorates us with hope, with cheer, with optimism for the year ahead, and it awakens that enlightened part of us inside. But we need to actively connect with it in order to reach that 5D frequency. Like I said before, it's a 5D energy. It's very, very high frequency. So be sure to meditate on the 21st of December or the 22nd, whenever it lands, depends on the year, as this is the official date of the winter solstice. So you want to check that out. But meditating, like I said, anytime between the 1st of December and the very last day of the first week of January will work just as well, but it's more potent on the day of the winter solstice. So you could do both. You could meditate outside of that date and on the winter solstice itself for maximum benefit. That's what you really want to do. You want to call out to the winter solstice energies. You want to ask them to illuminate your body, mind and spirit. You want to invite that luminous energy into your space to bring light to your soul, to permeate every single part of your life, to transform, to uplift, to enlighten it. You need to call out to that. You need to invoke it. Now, if you want some help connecting to that winter solstice energy, we believe the very best way to do that is with energy healing, and it can teach your energies how to connect to those winter solstice energies, and it will help in accepting them as well, so clearing out anything that's in the way, because like I said before, surprisingly, sometimes our systems reject the light. It's kind of automatic shield, and it stops us from being able to utilise it. So let's have a recap on what we've learned today. So we talked about the fact that despite it being the darkest day of the year, the winter solstice is the ancient bringer of light and spiritual transformation. You don't want to miss it, and it's not far away. It is a purging energy, and it will actively draw low vibrational darkness, emotional issues and feelings up to the surface, giving you the keys to your ascension process, so you know exactly what it is that you need to clear now to move forward. Then we talked about common mistakes, which were avoiding your own darkness, rejecting the self, and getting caught up in the seasonal darkness. Don't do those. Move past them. Higher vibrational stuff. And then we talked about our 4 tips to increase your inner light using the winter solstice energy. So that was honour your inner darkness, be aware of your emotions and feelings because they are your ascension radar, practice self-care and self-compassion, and invoke the winter solstice energy to bring more light when you need it most using meditation. That's the best way to do it. Maybe you want some help with that. Well, if you do, the good news is you don't need to go to energy healers, you don't need to train, you don't need expensive repeated energy healing sessions. If you're ready to get started on invoking those winter solstice energies right now to purify your energy and increase your inner light being, you can get started. You can check out our brand new meditation. It is the Winter Solstice Meditation, and it will help you to connect with those transformative energies of the winter solstice. It will remove any resistance that's in the way to receiving that high frequency light, and it will activate inner illumination to rejuvenate your spirit with optimism, hope and cheer. And we can get started in literally 10 minutes time. Now, you won't find an energy healing product like this anywhere else. Our meditations are a special blend of meditation and energy healing and activations. So it's the equivalent of a specifically tailored energy healing session with me, because I work with guides who are dedicated to helping us on the awakening pathway, and they specifically tailor the meditation and the healing to you when you use it. And you can use it again and again to heal layers and layers, and to work on every winter solstice when it comes up, from the comfort of your own home and at your own pace. Now, this meditation is going to do a few key things. It's going to remove the blocks to accepting that transformational high frequency energies of the winter solstice. It's going to help you to effortlessly surrender inwards and acknowledge your truth with confidence, or taking away the fear. It's going to reintegrate those rejected aspects of self with compassion, love and acceptance. Not easy to do, but we'll help you to do that. It's going to activate inner illumination to increase your light quota and vibration. It's going to cleanse your energies, rejuvenate your spirit with a sense of optimism, hope and cheer for the year ahead. And of course, it's going to actively connect you to those special energies present during the winter solstice period, anytime from the 1st of December to about the 7th of January. You can take a look below and see if it feels like it resonates with you. Have a great day. Bye.